everybody. Welcome. This is Jessica Butts. I'm super excited to come to you today to talk to you about my favorite topic, kind of my whole life really right now, which is live your life from the front seat. So I am the creator of what I think is this amazing system to really help you understand your authenticity in the world and bring it out in all areas of your life, your relationships, and your business. So as many of you know, I am in the midst of writing a book. It is launching any time now. And I thought, what a perfect time to let all of you know about my passion of Myers-Briggs type, authenticity, and living your life from the front seat, to do a 3-part webinar to bring my favorite tools to you to help you for free understand this really life-changing content that, to be honest, I'm completely obsessed with and has changed hundreds, probably even thousands of people in my life, clients that are in my life, understand the Myers-Briggs tool in a completely new way so that it really matches your energy, whether it just be for a stay-at-home mom or somebody who is launching an incredibly new startup company. Whatever is going on in your life, this is the tool to really help you accomplish magnificent things. So I'm so excited to be able to talk to you for the next hour about this thing that I'm absolutely passionate about. So for those of you who know, I am Jessica Butts. I am a psychotherapist. I'm a certified Myers-Briggs trainer. I'm a life fulfillment coach. And as I mentioned, I'm the creator of Live Your Life from the Front Seat, which we're going to talk a ton about over the next hour. So what is Live Your Life from the Front Seat? It's really this concept that I have taken, which is my front seat, of taking something from Myers-Briggs that's a little bit confusing. So in Myers-Briggs world, they have introversion, extroversion, sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving, and then 16 different types. It can really confuse people and get them a little bit lost. So what you're going to learn in the next hour, the benefit of sitting down and watching this for the next hour, is you are going to learn tangible tools, language and framework to really use, again, in your life, in your relationships, and in your business, with your coworkers, with everybody in your life, to understand who you are innately, and then give you funny, quirky little terms that I have come up with to help you understand your energy, to help you understand your authentic self, to understand your innateness, how to attract people into your life, how to make more money, how to get more clients, how to have more friends, and honestly, how to live a calmer, more authentic life. And so much of that can be done simply by doing what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, which is the first step in my book. So the steps, or the sections of my book, are also going to coordinate with the 3 months that I'm going to be bringing you this series. So this first month is about your type and living your life from the front seat, which coordinates with who are you. And then it's going to jump into next month, where are you going now that you've figured out all of this amazing stuff about yourself? And then lastly, how are you going to get there? Taking action based on your type, based on your front seat activities and your back, and avoiding your back seat activities, to really, again, get you to accomplishing incredible, magnificent things in your life. Your thoughts, your beliefs, plus your actions equal your life. I'm not making that up. It is a simple fact. What we think about all day and who we are, plus our beliefs about where we can go in our life, plus taking action equals our life. I want to bring you the fundamental, basic concept to help you understand this so that you can accomplish magnificent things in your life. And it all starts with your type and learning how to live your life from the front seat, which again is what we're going to spend the next hour talking about tonight. So why do I do this work? Why do I spend all of my time, all of my energy doing this work? Because above all else, I believe in innateness. I believe, I know this for a fact, but there's a common theme going on with all of us tonight. Every single person that's listening has been born. We were all born into this world, and as Lady Gaga says, baby, we are born this way. We are born into this world with authenticity. We are born with our personality type. Whether you believe in God or the universe, whatever it is given to you when you are born into this world. What happens from there is life circumstances get in the way of living our authenticity. Teachers, parents, family of origin, traumas, things in our life affect and squish oftentimes who we really innately are in this world. What I want to do is take where we used to be, where we were born into the world, get rid of all of these shoulds. I call it #banish should. I want to get rid of all of the shoulds and bridge that gap from where we are now to where we were born and get us back living from that authentic place. Because here's the deal. Living an authentic life is easier. We are all only given 100% energy. That is just a universal law. When we are wasting energy or spending energy doing something that is not innate, it takes extra energy. So I don't want anyone doing anything that they are not innately designed to do. Back in the 80s, there was this whole concept of we should be well-rounded and balanced. I'm here to tell you balance is bullshit. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of your energy. Do the things that you were innately God-designed, universe-designed to do, and your life will be so much easier. You will attract more clients. You will have better energy. People will gravitate to your energy. And let me add there, the right people. Not everybody, but the right people. So, as I mentioned before, as Lady Gaga says, baby, we are born this way. I really want you to take just a minute and think about what you were like as a child. Were you introverted and studious? Were you outgoing and the life of the party and needed all kinds of attention? Were you always thinking outside of the box, or were you a great student? Did you make decisions with your heart, or were you a very in your head kind of a person? How were you as a child? I want you to think about that for the duration of this webinar and just really thinking about who that little boy or little girl were, because that's who I want to get us back to. So before we move on, it's very important to understand as we are going through the self-assessment that there is a scale of preference between 1 and 30. So there's a number of people out there that always say to me, I don't want to be put into a box or be labeled. I totally get that. I don't want to be labeled either. But that is not what this is about, because I'm no statistician, but there's 4 different dichotomies. There's a scale of 0 to 30. I can't imagine it's statistically that it's possible for any ENFP to look exactly like another ENFP. We are all a little bit different, because one introvert of a scale of a 2 is going to look very different than an extrovert of a 30. And so while you're going through this self-assessment, I'm going to ask you not only what is your preference, so we always have a preference for one or the other, while we are still a little bit of both, we also have a scale of preference. So I am a strong extrovert. I am a strong intuitive type. And so you may be sensing, I might just be a little bit less on the scale, and there is zero judgment. So I want you to think of a teeter-totter, so kind of going back to this childhood memory thing, and think of yourself on that teeter-totter. In the middle of the teeter-totter, you can stand in the middle and really kind of go on one side or the other. And when you're standing in the middle, you can really sense what's going on both sides. You've got 1 foot here and 1 foot here. When you go way out to the other side, a 30 out of 30, what you do is you plop down on the other side and you find yourself very, very far away from the other side. That's a lot like what type feels like. A very strong extrovert feels different from the introvert versus it being just a 1 or 2 on the scale. So just keep that in mind as we're going along on the self-assessment, which is exactly what we're about to jump into right now. So for everyone who is watching, if you want to go to my website and download this form, you can do that under my resources tab. It's jessicabutts.com, which is B-U-T-T-S, and you can download this form as we go along because I wanted to show it to you here, but then I'm going to switch to another page. So if you want to follow along, feel free to go through there. But what we're about to do is go through the Myers-Briggs dichotomies. It's called the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, and there are 4 dichotomies. The first is introversion and extroversion. This is all about our source of energy, where we get our best energy and where we give our best energy. Extroverts are typically energized by the outer world. They like to focus on people and things. They're typically very active. They have a breadth of interest and typically a breadth of friends. One of my favorite things about extroverts and introverts, this dichotomy, is that extroverts are external processors, meaning they say it before they think it, which drives introverts crazy, right? For those of you listening right now that are introverts, typically there's a lot of laughter going on because you're rolling your eyes thinking, yes, extroverts can be so annoying in that way. We, as I'm an extrovert as well, we are external processors. As we are thinking through things, we like to process it. Introverts, on the other hand, they are energized by their inner world. They like to focus on concepts and ideas. They're typically more reflective. They typically have a depth, a smaller variety of interests and friends, but they're very deep into those friendships and those interests. They also have this said filter, if you will. So this is internal processing. It just simply takes introverts a little more time to process things in their head before they choose to have it come out of their mouth. So when I am doing work with startup companies and kind of helping them figure out where their best resources should be laid and where they're going to get the best out of their employees, we talk a lot about meetings. Because typically extroverts are the ones who are setting up the meeting, they're putting the agenda together, and they're also running the meeting. So they're moving on, great, do we hear from everybody? Excellent. They're on the agenda item number 6, and most of the introverts, which are 50% of the population, are still back on agenda item number 1, processing what they would like to say. And you can imagine we shouldn't be doing that because we are missing 50% of the people in the room of what they would like to be saying. So sometimes extroverts need to shut up and listen. We need to pause and make sure that we hear from everybody in the room. Here's another fact that I have not made up. This is just true, so don't shoot the messenger. We live in an extroverted world. We reward extroversion. So it is harder at times for introverts to keep up with or to fit in to this extroverted world that has been designed. Think about your children, or even when you were a child, about how many activities, what is your kids in and what are they doing? And they're running all over the place and they have a gazillion activities. That is actually not the way that introverts would like to be, because their energy gets sucked from them in that way. So where extroverts give their best self to the world because it's their best energy, it energizes them to give their best self to the world. Introverts save their best self for themselves. I always have to slow down when I say that and get a little quiet because it's such a powerful energy shift. So one of the main reasons that I do this work, and I think it's very powerful, is for us to understand that we are just born into this world differently, so that we can quit pathologizing those people in our life, our partner, our coworkers, our boss, that people are just irritating or they're trying to frustrate us. That, well, hopefully is not the case, but most of the time that is not the case. We simply need to understand that we all have differences. So extroverts and introverts just simply have different energy. Introverts need this time to recharge. So which one do you think you are? An extrovert or an introvert? We always have a preference. While you can understand both sides of them. So I'm a strong extrovert. I definitely have introverted tendencies, but I always have a preference for extroversion. It is my best energy. So which one do you think you are? And where do you fall on the scale? Are you a slight introvert or are you a severe introvert? Are you a slight extrovert or are you a strong extrovert? So I'd like you to take a moment before we move on to the next dichotomy to write down introvert, extrovert, E or I, and what number you think you are. Because at the end, we are going to tabulate your whole type. Okay, so let's move on to sensing and intuition. This is my favorite dichotomy of all of the dichotomies, and I will share with you a lot of why. This is all about how we take in information. Sensors take in information via their five senses in a very concrete, logical way. If they can touch it, taste it, hear it, smell it, see it, it is a fact. Intuitive ends are taking information via their sixth sense. They have a hunch or a speculation or a gut feeling about something. They really take in information via their gut. They sense energy, where sensors are much more concrete thinkers and concrete data, the way that they take things in. Intuitive are much bigger picture thinkers. So just think of a funnel, the way that you may take in information. Sensors take in information at the top of the funnel in a very big picture kind of way. Sensors down here. They want to know the details, the facts, and bring them to them. 75% of the population are sensors. That leaves 25% are intuitive types. And that is why this is my favorite dichotomy, because it leaves us intuitive types, you, me, most of you, I guess not all of you, most of you listening, and I know that because more intuitive types and sensing types are interested in this kind of personal development work. They're the ones that are at Barnes & Noble in the self-help section, because intuitive types are always thinking about what's next. They're always thinking about the future. How can I improve this? What can I do next? Where am I going? Where can I take my business? How can I improve my life? How can I improve my marriage? Where sensors live in the here and the now. It's a completely different way of being in this world. This causes a lot of conflicts in relationships because people simply do not understand the power of this dichotomy and this difference. I work almost exclusively with intuitive types because I grew up feeling like a weirdo. As I say, as Lady Gaga says, baby, I was born this way. I was born a weirdo. And most intuitive types feel that way as well. Because we are born into a world where 75% of the population does not process information the way that we do. School is set up for sensing types. Traditional school, traditional testing is set up for sensing concrete thinkers. Intuitive types are much more experiential learners. We want to touch it and go play with it and experiment with things. We think outside of the box. We are always thinking about what's next. So I had a couple come into my practice very early on, and she was a very strong sensing type, and he was a very strong intuitive type. And they sat down and they started talking about some of her frustrations, that he always seemed like he was unhappy in the marriage because he was always talking about, hey, babe, why don't we move to Costa Rica and set up a pineapple stand and let's just live abroad for a couple of years, or maybe we could, move to Paris and do this, or sell the house and live on a boat for a year, or maybe we should go to Iceland this summer. There's always dreams and new ideas, and maybe I should start this business, or maybe I should start that business. For sensors, that is frustrating. It causes them some angst because for them, living in the moment, living in the here and the now is much easier. And that is just the way their brains are set up. Sensors hate this when I call them this, but to intuitive types, sensors can feel like dream killers. We want to be able to think and play and think about the future and dream about possibilities. And sensors can sometimes be a wet blanket with their reality-based living. I want to be very clear that this is not judgment one way or another. I want to talk about this because I want to shed light on this so that we can start having better relationships in our personal life and in our business. So we've got to know this stuff about ourselves. So which one are you? Are you an intuitive type weirdo like I am? And if you are, how strong are you on that scale? Or are you one of the 75% of the population that, thank God, helps you kind of run the show? You are kind of the 9 to 5 people that really help the society run. And how strong of a sensor are you? So take a moment, write down whether you're a sensor or intuitive, S or N, and what number on the scale you think you are. Okay, great. Let's move on to the third dichotomy. So this is my favorite for another reason. I think they're all my favorites for different reasons, but I love this one because this is the dichotomy that is the only one that is affected truly by gender, but also, along with sensing and intuition, very society-based. So 75% of men are thinkers and 75% of women are feelers. But also society tells men that they're supposed to be thinkers, and society tells women that they're supposed to be feelers. So I'm always fascinated with the other 25%, as I am with intuitive types. I love to bring intuitive types into my life. I have a group coaching program only for intuitive types, and people always think I'm crazy. Why would you alienate 75% of the population? Because they have the rest of the world. Us intuitive types, us weirdos, we need to come together and support this weirdness in our life and our business so that we can flourish. On this dichotomy, I also love working with feeling men because they also feel very misunderstood in this world. And I often work with a lot of thinking type women in their businesses about how that they can connect better with women. So to oversimplify it tremendously, now that we've taken in all of this information, be it sensing or intuition, thinking and feeling is all about how we go about making decisions. Thinkers make decisions with their head. Feelers make decisions with their heart. Thinkers like analysis, objective, they're logical, they're impersonal decision makers. It does not make them impersonal people. It's not as if they don't have any feelings. They just don't when it comes to making decisions. They would much prefer to just give me the facts and let me make a decision. Feelers, on the other hand, factor in everybody's feelings, their feelings, the neighbor's feelings, their co-workers' feelings, their mother-in-law's feelings. Everybody's feelings factor in. So there can never really be a black and white decision for a feeler because everything is circumstantial. So you can imagine the conflict that this causes in a lot of relationships as well as business settings. So again, learning this stuff, it's like putting your own oxygen mask on first, understanding yourself first so that you can then go out into the world and start understanding others and having a better relationship with them now that you understand your type and theirs, so that the communication is at a completely different level. I mean, it gives you this language and framework. So the first part of this webinar is going through the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, but then the second half is really going to blow your mind and a whole new language and framework to use, again, using this tool, but about understanding your best energy. So before we move on to the last dichotomy, what are you? Do you have a preference for thinking, or do you have a preference for feeling? And how strong is that preference on the scale of 0 to 30? So go ahead and write that down. This should be your third letter that you have written down. Should have introvert, extrovert, sensing, intuition, thinking, or feeling. Okay, let's jump into the last dichotomy, which is my favorite dichotomy because it's the funniest. Again, they're all my favorite for different reasons, but this is my favorite because it's the funniest. This causes the most conflict in relationships. It causes so much angst in business settings. And when people start to understand this, again, and they have a language and a framework, this is just amazing information to be able to have. So this one is all about how we like to be in the world. So imagine picking yourself up from your shoulders and placing yourself in the world. This is how you like your world organized and how you like to be organized in the world. Judgers, J's, they like things organized and settled and planned, and they're decisive decision makers. They like to control one's life, and let's get really honest, they like to control everybody else's life too, because it messes with their life if other people are not falling in line to their plan. P's, on the other hand, they're just pending and flexible, they're spontaneous, they're much more go with the flow. They like their plans to be more tentative. They're kind of let life happen kind of people, and they're very undaunted by surprise. As you can imagine, I'm sure you're even hearing this right now and realizing how many issues this causes in relationships. I cannot even tell you how many clients I see that are opposite types. I just did a podcast yesterday with a couple, and they are completely opposites like this. And they've really had to learn what it's like to have J structure and to be able to allow his wife to just kind of flit, is really what I call it. Perceivers are flitters. They like to just kind of go where the wind takes them, where J's really like structure. So I work a lot with children and their parents in my psychotherapy practice, and there's a lot of children out there with a lot of anxiety. Some of that is really kind of genetically going on in their bodies, and some of it has to do with this. The worst thing a P parent or a P in general can say to a judging child or a judging person is, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out. Never say that, because it actually causes anxiety. While P's really, again, this is no judgment, it's just we are wired differently. P's only see so far out. They can't see a week or 2 weeks out. They can only see sometimes an hour ahead of them. J's see months and months and months ahead of them. So where a J child needs structure, they need plan, they need to know where their locker is, they need to know what their school schedule is, they need to know what's happening on Saturday, and a P is less like, oh, honey, don't worry about it. That causes them stress and anxiety. I have seen a lot of turnaround in my clients, in relationships, in business relationships, with their children, by simply understanding this dichotomy alone can change lives. I cannot stress how important that is. So before we leave, I kind of got serious there for a minute. I have to tell my funniest story about this dichotomy. So Back in a couple of years ago, I had this divine pleasure of sailing around the British Virgin Islands on this sailboat. It was just magnificent. There was 8 of us on the boat. There was 8 of my friends, including myself, and a captain and a chef. So the very first morning, we get up and we're all like just sitting around in our bathing suits, and we're about to drink some coffee and have a beautiful breakfast. And I am the only J on the boat. So all of you J's know what I'm about to say. I take a sip of my coffee and I say, great, where are we going today? What are we going to do? What's happening? What are we having for breakfast? Where are we going to go for lunch? Where are we snorkeling? Where are we going to scuba dive? Can you show me on the map what, where are we going to go? Ooh, what's for dinner? Are we going to get off the boat at any point? Where are the bars and restaurants and things like that? Oh, what time does the sun set typically? I had to know what the plan was for the day in order to relax. As soon as I knew what was happening, I went, then I could relax. And I know what all of you P's are doing right now, listening to this and watching this, because this is what everybody on the boat did too. I look over at all my friends on the boat and their mouths are dropped to the floor because they're disgusted with me because I just ruined their day. Half of the fun for people, for P's, is the spontaneity, to not knowing what the day is going to bring. So having there be no judgment, just knowing that there is a difference. So the way that we compromised is every morning I would get my coffee and the captain and I would go hide in a little corner and I'd drink my coffee and he'd tell me what we were going to do for the day so that I could relax and know what the plan was, but nobody else had to know what was going on. So I love that story, and I'm guessing it resonates with people because there's always some laughter. P's are always kind of disgusted by my super J-ness, but the J's really understand too that sometimes we just need to know what is going on. But this also depends on the scale of your preference. So as we are wrapping up this section, before we jump into my take on Myers-Briggs, what are you? Are you a J or are you a P? Are you a super J like me, a 30 out of 30, or are you somewhere less? Or are you a strong perceiving and don't like structure and plans, or are you a little less on that scale? So I want you to take a moment, write it all down before we move on, because you need to have your 4-letter whole type before we move on. So this is my favorite part. I have been using Myers-Briggs for 20 plus years, since I was about 20 years old. And again, like I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, I absolutely love this stuff, obviously. You can see my passion for it. But people get confused and then they don't use it. And so a couple of years ago when I was doing a workshop, I thought I need a creative way to explain what it is like for our energy. And I came up with this car analogy. Again, it just kind of came to me. So I want you to imagine for a moment as we take our 4-letter whole type and we're going to put it into this car. There are 4 people in the car. They're all you. So close your eyes for just a second and imagine yourself driving across the country. I have a little Mini Cooper, so it's a little squished in my car, but imagine whatever car you have. And the 4 passengers in this cross-country journey is a driver, a co-pilot, a drunk uncle in the back seat, and a baby in the back seat. Okay, so we're going to talk about these 4 people as it relates to your personality. I'm going to use it in an ENFP example because I think it will be easier for you to understand. So let me go back to the visual for one moment so you can see the car a little bit more before we jump into the ENFP. The 2 front seat people are your best energy. Your driver, imagine him kind of gangster style driving the car. He or she is in charge. They see the road ahead. They know where they're going. They've got their eyes on the road. They know how fast they're going. They know when they need to slow down. They may need to know where to accelerate, where to turn. They're in charge of that car and of your personality. It is your best self. It is your best. energy. This is how people are attracted to you. This is how you get clients. This is how you make money, showing up from this place of authenticity. So obviously we only have an hour. This is my life's work. It is my passion to bring this to you. As I have hinted, we're going to go over an ENFP example, but I urge all of you, please, please, please do not get off this call without contacting me to go over your own type. I've got an offer at the end that is completely irresistible, but I want to hear from you, even if it's just an email or a 30-minute consultation, or if you make the commitment to learning about your type. Do not waste this hour by not learning your type, because every single four-letter whole type that we just covered goes into this car to describe a different driver and a different co-pilot. So you need to know your four-letter whole type, which I just gave you for free, and then what we need to do is plug it into your car. So this is your best self. Your second best self is your co-pilot. Imagine, again, driving across the country. This person's very important when you're driving across the country. I just drove home from the Super Bowl in Arizona, and while I was driving, this person was very important. When I needed some snacks, or I needed some different music, or I needed some Google mapping, like, oh my gosh, we're lost, what's happening? This person is there to keep me company, to talk to me, to help me out. If you are an extrovert, your driver is extroverted. If you are introverted, your driver is introverted. The world sees your best self as a driver. If you are an introvert, what the world sees of you is actually your co-pilot, which is not bad, but it is your second best self, because as I mentioned when we were talking about this dichotomy, you save your best self for yourself. It is incredibly important for extroverts and introverts alike to understand what the world is seeing of you, especially you introverts, because they are seeing your second best self. Only people who really get to know introverts know what's truly on the inside of them. I like to think of it as wearing your heart on your sleeve, or wearing a heart on the inside of your sleeve. Introverts wear their heart on the inside of their sleeve, so you have to get very close to them to know what is actually going on. Because again, they're saving that for themselves and those that are very, very close to them. But these two people, this driver and this co-pilot, this is your best energy, and where you want to be spending at least 80% of your time. The time in your life, and especially the time in your business, which I'm about to cover in the back seat. So these are the dreaded backseat drivers in your life and in your business. So I'm going to get a little bit serious here for 1 minute, because what I'm about to talk about, most people get a little bit emotional because they have been spending the majority of their life in the backseat. So these backseat drivers are two people. One is the drunk uncle in your backseat. I know it's funny, and it is funny, but it's also quite serious. So the way that a drunk uncle shows up, imagine driving across the country again, and this drunk uncle is in the backseat. He's snoring, he's passed out. When he wakes up, he has terrible energy, he's annoying. You know drunk people, we've all probably been drunk, or we know drunk people. It is repulsive energy. No one wants to talk to you, no one wants to be around you. They really just want you to pass out and shut up. This is the part of your personality that is like that. We all have a repulsive part of our energy, and we all have a part of our energy that we just need to stop doing. Part of our life that we need to just stop doing. Just let it pass out. Let it stay dormant. Don't do it. Like I said before, balance is bullshit. This is the bullshit stuff in the backseat that you just need to not be doing. You need to hire somebody in your business to do this for you. You need to talk to your partner, your life partner, your business partner, whoever, and be honest about the stuff that is your drunk uncle. Everybody in my life, my business coach, my friends, everybody in my life knows what my drunk uncle is because I don't do it. So I'm a strong, intuitive type in the front. My backseat driver is details and the books and all of that stuff, which I'll cover in a little bit. But it's bad energy, and I do not do it. It's like a drunk person trying to do my book. I don't want a drunk person running my business, and so I hire somebody that is their front seat. She's brilliant at it. That is her driver of the car, where that is my drunk uncle. So we are all different. There is no judgment in this. She's brilliant at her stuff, and I'm brilliant at my stuff, and we work well together. I really hope this is sinking in. So let's finish with a very serious person in the car, and it does get a little serious. The baby in the back seat. So this person, as we all know, babies are immature, they're underdeveloped, they literally have no communication skills. They scream and yell when they're awake typically, or they're fast asleep. But they are not our best selves. They are an immature version of who we are. When we are stressed out, at our wit's end, completely exhausted, or someone hurts us, everybody else in the car goes to sleep and our baby wakes up. And she's freaked out. She's freaked out. She's alone and she's scared, and she comes out in a way that's the exact opposite of who we normally are. If your driver, if your best self is an extrovert, your baby wakes up and she's quiet and she's scared and she doesn't talk to anybody and she hides from the world. Conversely, if your driver is an introvert, so you're typically pretty docile, somewhat quiet, your baby in the back seat wakes up and she's loud and she's angry and she's maybe over emotional, but she is in your face. And it's very shocking to people. It's scary, actually, because it's the exact opposite of how we normally show up. So let me go back to the example of the ENFP so I can run through this with an example so you can see it. So the front seat, good energy for an ENFP, extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving person, is the driver is an extroverted intuitive. They are all about big picture concepts. They are all about ideas and seeing patterns that other people cannot see. 75% of the people cannot do that. And so an extroverted intuitive is brilliant at whiteboarding and future planning and seeing things and patterns, again, and being creative and thinking outside of the box that other people are not. This is their best self. When they are able to be creative and forward thinking in their business, in their life, this is their best energy. They will make more money, they will get more clients, they will have a more fulfilling home life. Their co-pilot, their second best self, has to be introverted because their driver is extroverted, is an introverted feeler. It's actually a very sensitive person. They process all of the feelings going on around them inside their hearts. It's all about internal processing of the way that they're feeling about their environment. It makes them very sensitive. So their front seat is creative feeling, outside of the box, heartfelt. 80% of their time needs to be coming from this space. Well, let's talk about the backseat energy for an ENFP. This is what I call wonky energy. We all know when we're in wonky energy, or we actually know when we run into somebody who is in wonky energy. It's just gross, right? It's just yucky, wonky energy. You don't want any part of it. Because this is efforting. This is energy. It's not who we authentically are. It's not how we were born in this world to be. It takes extra energy. Again, this is the stuff that we do not need to be doing. The drunk uncle for the ENFP is an extroverted thinker. This is impersonal reasoning, logic, sitting down with people and really kind of strategizing with logic and reasoning. This is just stuff that they should not be doing. So sometimes they need a business partner to help them be a little more logical, to see things from a different point of view. Because this stuff needs to just be dormant. They do not make good decisions from this place. The baby in the back seat for an ENFP is the exact opposite of the driver. They get very quiet and they start running through all of the minutia in their head. They start making lists, or they might start thinking about every single word, every single detail, how that person said something mean to them, how they rolled their eyes at them, the tone of voice, all the mean things they said, or they are very list-making and they're worried about all of the minutia, but they're doing it in their head in a very, very scared way. I would be a terrible therapist if I didn't acknowledge the fact that we all go to this baby in their backseat. I do this for a living, and I go to my baby in the backseat. But what we need to be aware of is we can do front seat activities to get us out of our backseat and get us back to our front seat and our amazing energy. Sometimes we need to just hang out in the baby in the back seat. I do. I need to hide from the world sometimes and eat some bad food and binge watch House of Cards or something on Netflix and just totally veg out and be by myself. I got to do that sometimes, but I know it is not my best energy. And I would never, ever do a webinar, meet with clients, go do a workshop from that back seat. I have to be in my front seat to have awesome energy. And so there are front seat activities that you can do. I want to work with every single one of you listening right now and watching to figure out what your front seat activities are, because I guarantee you it will change your life. I have countless clients that I have helped walk through this. I think probably the most recent one is a woman who is working in corporate America. She's an INFJ, so she's very creative and very feely. And she works in a corporate America environment where she has to be sensing and thinking all day long. And it is literally making her sick. Her body is shutting down. She can't get out of bed. She's suffering from depression. Since we've started working together, she is learning front seat activities. She has more energy. She is starting to do new creative things in her life. She's branching out and getting involved with activities. She's looking for a new job, but she has the energy to do all of that because she has learned what her front seat activities are that give her amazing energy. We have to be aware of this stuff so that we can change it. So obviously you can see how passionate I am about this, because it all comes down to this. Do what you are innately designed to do. This chokes me up. It will change your life to start living this way. I know this because I used to do stuff that I sucked at all the time. I did stuff I sucked at. I was in the wrong marriage, I was in the wrong job, and I spent, conversely, 80% of my time in the backseat, which I'm guessing most of you do too. I don't want this for you anymore. I want you to get out of your backseat. I know what this feels like. I spent years sitting on my kitchen floor. I'm so sad now, being a little bit of a victim because I was, again, in the wrong marriage, in the wrong job, and I felt completely stuck. I had a mortgage, I had bills, I had gotten this college degree that I was supposed to or should, Vanna should, be working for. And I was utterly lost and unfulfilled and sad and depressed. When I learned and got the courage to change my life and learn my front seat activities, as soon as I did that, all of the good energy came to me. My energy completely shifted, and then good energy could come to me, and I know that will happen for you when you learn this stuff. So stop doing stuff you suck at and start doing stuff you're awesome at. I know this is a long testimonial, but I want to read you this because this just happened from a client of mine where I did a workshop for her and her team, a small team. It's a startup. And Amy writes, "Thank you again for the insightful workshop you led for us. It was eye-opening and thoroughly enjoyable. You truly have a tremendous gift and passion for what you do, and your positive energy is contagious. You inspired me to start to embrace myself in a way that I had never before. I still have a long way to go, as we all do, but I am sincerely grateful for your insight, insightful guidance to help me begin to find my path through a lens of self-love instead of self-criticism and judgment that I have been using to force myself into a mold that I felt that I should fit into, as so many of us do. I'm not quite sure why, but reading my personality profile on paper, while terrifying in its accuracy, was also a relief. I no longer have the burden of feeling as though I need to become someone I'm not, to be valued by society. I am still searching for my purpose, but I am excited to begin this next part of my journey and with new eyes and a fresh perspective on where and what I should be. I will be living my life from the front seat instead of the back seat from this point forward. Words are inadequate at expressing my gratitude to you for leading those 3 hours of life-changing workshop. But please know that you have made a huge difference in one ENFP life." Obviously, I don't read that to be self-boasting, but the power of simply a 3-hour workshop or spending 3 hours with me learning this stuff one-on-one can literally change your life, and I wanted to share that with you. So before we close, it would be remiss of me to not talk to you about how you can find out more. Again, I've been vulnerable with you, shared with you my, kind of on the bathroom floor moment, but mine happened to be my kitchen floor, of breaking down and being exhausted and stuck and not knowing where to go. This is the roadmap to show you how to accomplish magnificent things in your life. It will literally change your life as it did for Amy and thousands of other people that I have worked for. So I have what I feel like is really an unbelievable offer for you. And it's going to go fast. I mean, this is my time. And so it's going to book up fast because there's hundreds of you watching. I want to give you the opportunity to sit down with me one-on-one, either via Skype, via the phone, or in person in my office to go over exactly what we just did in this webinar. To get your MBTI, your Myers-Briggs Type Indicator online so that you can actually see the scale of preference for you between 0 and 30. It will show it for you. And then we're going to sit down together for 90 minutes and we're going to go over all of this information, including your car. I will give you specifically your front seat activities and your back seat activities, what you need to be doing and where you need to be avoiding it in your life, your relationships, and your business. If you're a small business owner or you're getting ready to do a startup, you've got to do this for your business. There's nothing better you can do as starting up as to know where to not waste money. Every single startup out there has these moments of, crap, I've just wasted all this money hiring and training the wrong person for the job. Let's get together and do an assessment of everybody on your team to figure out innately where the best fit is for them. Let's not try to shove a square peg into a round hole. Let's put a round plug into a round hole. It will make your business better. It makes happier employees, which makes you more money. So, in this assessment together, we will spend 90 minutes together in the first session talking all about your type. It will leave you validated. Your mind's going to be a little bit blown. You're going to be a little vulnerable because it's going to feel very, very powerful to you. So we have to have a follow-up. So in the incredible price of only $497, the hour follow-up is included in that. We will break that up over about a month period of time so you can really, really ingest it. We'll have our 90-minute session, and then a couple weeks later, a week and a half, 2 weeks later, we're going to have the follow-up call. I want all of you to be able to do this before my next call. My next call is the next section of my book about living your life from the front seat, and it becomes all about designing a life for you, not somebody else, but for you, and that is all based on your car. We're not going to design a backseat life for you. How stupid is that? We're going to design a front seat life for you, but you have to know this stuff first before you start designing your life. You know, there's so many people who sit down and start doing all of the activities that I'm going to teach you next month about manifesting and envisioning and whiteboarding and goal cards and all of the tips, tricks, and tools that I've been using for years in my coaching and therapy practice that are truly life-changing. But you cannot do them from your back seat. You've got to do them from your front seat. You have to know this first. This is only, this is an offer for now. So if you are ready to do this and you're ready to jump on it, because my space is limited. It's only my time. So you've got to act quick. If you're ready to do this now, you can see the link right there on your page. It's simply jessicabutts.com/type. And there you will find all of the information, the payment link, everything will be sent to you, and we will get you started right away. And I promise you, we will make time to book this appointment so that you can start changing your life like Amy has and like my other coaching clients have, that their lives are being transformed. Before we go, I want to share with you one more person that I'm so proud of, because it's taken courage. This stuff that I'm talking to you about takes some courage. As you've heard from me, I've had to turn my life upside down. I quit my corporate job and went back to graduate school and didn't have any money and racked up all of these student loans. I left my marriage. I literally had to turn my life upside down. Not all of you are going to need to do that, but we are going to have to take some chances. And my client, another Amy, actually, she did just that. She was married young, like so many of us are. She had 3 children and kind of started this life that she thought she was supposed to live. Her parents told her she was supposed to live this life. Her husband told her she was supposed to live this life. But she knew deep down in her heart and her gut for 20 plus years that this was not the life that God and the universe had designed her to live. She knew it. She felt unsettled all the time. She's a strong, intuitive type, and she was supposed to be doing something more, something with meaning, and something different. We worked together for about a year on really diving into some of these limiting beliefs and talking about her type and understanding her front seat and her back seat and getting rid of all of these shoulds in her life and starting to live her life from a place for her instead of her ex-husband and her family of origin, but from truly who she is. She has since moved out of the environment that was keeping her stifled. She lives in this magnificent community, in a community that embraces her weirdness, her intuitive typeness. She owns a company. She started her own company that is truly her life passion to have started. I'm so proud of her. And her life is completely transformed. And I truly believe by learning how to live her life from the front seat and learning it from a place of authenticity. So if you want this, how could you not? If you want this, I want to be able to provide it for you. This is my front seat. This is why I was born. This is why I'm supposed to be doing this work, is to help you. So I urge you, I encourage you with everything I have to not wait, to do this now before next month, so that next month's call is powerful and meaningful. So click below, get to the link, jessicabutts.com/type, and let's get started on really, really creating a life for you so that you can accomplish magnificent things in your life, your relationships, and your business. Thank you so much for taking an hour plus out of your time to listen, and I thank you very, very much, and I cannot wait to hear from you guys. So click the link and let's get started, and we're going to have so much fun together, I promise. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.